Hi everybody, glad you could join us for yet another edition of Roundball Digest. As always, I am your humblest of hosts, Canio Costanzo, with the always humble Fran Libanati, and is this guy humble? Yeah, he's humble. It's Bruce Live, the Hazleton area boys basketball coach, and right now Hazleton area playing some outstanding basketball as the league championship will be decided next week, and also district playoffs right around the corner.
Nice victories again. Holborn at home and limit Holborn to 22 points, which is just amazing by today's standards. And of course, go to Pittston area. Always a tough game away from home, and they score over 70 points. I think that shows both ways. We can outscore you offensively. We can hold you down defensively.
Well, Coach, what about those two games?
You're going to throw cheap shots around now. Off camera, you know.
No. We'll talk a little bit about that later on.
In a little bit, but we're not going to throw cheap shots, are we?
Okay. No more cheap shots, especially from you, though. That has to be an agreement from you as well.
All right, I'm going to be good today.
Okay.
No, our team played very well against Pittston. I mean, I think that was one of the best games of the year for us, offensively and defensively in the second half, especially the defense in the second half. We had Pittston didn't score for 11-minute stretch in the second half. Our defense in the first half allowed their fine guard, number 3, Wittick, to hit some great shots, and he had half of their points. So we had a nice game up there.
Well, we will talk about the Pittston area game, and we will also be talking about the Bishop Hoban game. We'll talk a little bit about previewing the big game Tuesday night versus Coughlin, and of course, we will also discuss the District 2 Quad A playoffs. That and quite a bit more coming up on Roundball Digest. But first, these messages.
Security Savings, locally owned and operated in the greater Hazleton area since 1889. If you're banking in Weatherly, Drums, the Laurel Mall, or downtown Hazleton, you'll be doing business with old friends. Stop by one of our offices today to open.
Back here on Roundball Digest. Thanks for joining us here on WYLN. Well, 2 big wins for Hazleton area guys. Let's talk about the Bishop Hoban contest and great defensive effort against the Argents.
Yeah, I think, Coach, when you're talking today with the 22 points, I mean, that's just unbelievable. And again, you're talking about a program, great coach, and Chad Hine over the years has always had outstanding teams, and it shows again that it's awfully difficult defense for teams to break down.
Our kids are playing tough. We played man and some matchup in the Hoban game. Chet is an outstanding, as I said in the paper, outstanding coach, outstanding gentleman, but they were shorthanded without Augustine at the point. They really did not have a point guard. We exploited that. If you recall, their first possession of the game, they took about a minute and a half off and then hit a 3. I mean, that's coaching. If we would have stayed back in the zone and allowed them to do that, the game would have been a lot closer. Absolutely. As soon as I saw that, we jumped out, because Chet is, a good coach. He's smart enough to know that without his point guard, if we're going to stay in the matchup, he'll make 20, 25 passes, and they must have worked real hard on that, because the first possession was well executed.
Looking back at that game, what else were you happy about? Obviously, defensively, you had to be very pleased.
Well, I thought we got some good performances from a lot of different people. Nathan Mariano's been playing really well defensively. He's been playing strong. We extended our defense. He played very well. I don't have the scoring stats in front of me. Maybe you do, but I think we're getting balanced scoring not only from Matt Tucker and Michael Barletta, but Brent Teeter stepped up a little bit in that game and played. He didn't score really, but he played very good defense, and he rebounded the ball well. Matt threw some very nice passes in that game. He's been passing the ball well.
I want to talk to you a little bit about a word the Coach Lab used, balance. This time of year, you really can't have teams where you've got a one-man show, one player scoring 25 to 30 points. When playoff time rolls along, if you've got a team like that and you don't have the balance, you're not going to go deep into the playoffs, and this time of year is when, as a coach, you'd like to have balance.
Yeah, I think because of that, that's why the coach has been so consistent in playoffs. You're right, you can't set up a specific defense. You can come up with a lot of junk defense if you have 1 or 2 players that rely on. I think that what's happening, you could see on Tuesday night, the fact that he had a couple of our players hitting the threes, Bobby Bryant coming on, lighting it up. It's because they play with the confidence. Now it shows the way Matt Tucker's been playing. You have the inside threat. He also can take you outside, hit the short jumper, go to the basket. Michael Barletta plays like a kid about 6'2", 6'3". He's getting good reserve play. Chris Libas played very well. As he said, Mr. Teeter's coming off the bench and playing well. Lenny Leshko has played very well. So I think he's right about where you want to be. And I'm going to talk now as a fan. I think a lot of things have changed because right now the Cougars are right back in that hunt for the second half, which I had stated early in the year. And now you were saying humble, but I have to be truthful. I more or less saw this, and we could have played this thing out. But on the serious side, what happens now is that the other teams are beginning to look at Hazleton area, and he feels quite confident because he's prepared for the rest of the season.
The next game that Hazleton area would play would be a game on the road against Pittston area. Coach, you had to be happy to pick up a 72-51 win. Any way of looking back and thinking your team offensively is going to score 72 points?
Well, we're capable of scoring. I mean, you know, in bunches we can. We haven't this year per se in any one game, but we came out against their zone and found a lot of holes in their zone and shot the ball very well. Jonathan Veach shot well. Michael Barletta came out, and of course Bobby Bryan was 5 for 5 from the three-point line. They left Nathan Mariano open. He hit a shot. Chris Leib came off the bench, was 9 for 10 from the free throw line. Lenny Leshko played a super game. You know, so not only balance but depth. And I think there's, you know, they're not one and the same. They're different, and if you have both, I think we're getting some balance, yes, but more than that, I think we're getting depth. You know, we're starting to play 8, 9 people. Did
a very good job on the boards as well. You outboarded Pittston area 34-26, and also the second half you limited the Patriots to only 7 field goals. It seems like the last couple of games you've played well defensively, but in the second half things really tighten up.
Yeah, we really took care of. Wittick was really hurting us in the first half, and again, I mean, if they go 28 points again, and you're thinking, well, they could score 56 points on us, even though we had the 9-point lead at halftime. It's not a game we want to get into, but you know, we're capable of scoring in the 60s and 70s. We like to hold our opponents down, you know, certainly under 50 points, under 45 if we can. But that's, you know, we look for good shots. You know, we don't hold the ball. We look for good shots. Mm-hmm. And if a good shot comes after 20 passes, so be it. That's the deal. We can run with anybody in the league. We have some quickness. Mariano, Barletta, Bryan are quick people. They can get out there. I mean, Coughlin's a quick team. Valley West is a very quick team. Nanticoke might be quicker than all of us, really. But with the exception of Nanticoke, man for man, we're as quick as anybody.
You talked a little bit about Bobby Bryan. Best game since you've seen him play on the varsity level?
Yeah, again, not surprising. I've seen Bobby play over the years. He's, you know, that's why he's there. I mean, you know, I don't make these decisions like overnight. You see kids play in summer leagues. You watch them. You see them develop. I saw a kid play in AAU. He's a stone-cold assassin when he's on. And I always wanted him to get his arc up a little bit, and in that game, for some reason, the form was like perfect for him. His arc was up. He had more of a loft on his shot, and he was 5 for 5. He tied a school record. 5 threes.
Yeah, the interesting thing there, again, as you're mentioning, Chris hitting 9 out of 10, that's a freshman shooter, and then you get Bobby Bryan hitting those threes. So that's amazing. You're talking about freshman basketball players, and the mix, as he said before, I like the balance and the depth, and I'm saying now as a fan. And the coach is concerned, of course, he has a big second half confrontation coming up against Coughlin, but I think he's in real good shape for even after that game, because now all the things have come together for playoff time, and you're peaking right at the right time.
And you played 12 players against Pittston area.
Yeah, well, we had the score up there pretty good, and really never pressed them. We played a little bit of man three-quarter, but we had the score up over 25-26 and played a lot of different people. As you know, the game got, you might have heard, the game got very physical, which I didn't care for. I thought, I don't want to talk too much about that, but again, very physical game, very disappointing performance, some very hard fouls, and when we're up and we have subs in. There was actually an intentional foul by Pittston with 40 seconds to go in the game, and we're up by over 22 points. If you could figure that out, Conio, and I'm sure you can, please tell me how that works.
Well, I don't know if I can, but I do know this. We have run out of time in this segment, so we have to take a break. When we come back, we'll talk a little bit about some of those key performers for Hazleton area, preview the Coughlin game, and of course the District 2 playoffs are right around the proverbial corner. More on Roundball Digest after this.
service.
Back here on Roundball Digest, and we're going to talk a little bit about some of the key players for Hazleton area. And Coach, obviously, one player who you talked about earlier who's really playing well, Nathan Mariano.
Nathan Mariano, yes. He's playing very well, and I'm very proud of you. It's Mariano.
Thank you.
Very good. He's really come on. He's always played good defense, and he's really starting to take care of the basketball now, and distributed, very unselfish player, good rebounder. There you see Nathan now coming down the court with the ball and drives through the seam and makes a nice layup.
Nathan obviously having
Nathan open, and he's been left open. That's the big three against Coughlin up there at the end of the first half. Was struggling from the, shooting the ball and hit it. And people have been leaving him open, and he can shoot. I hope they continue to do that.
Yeah,
if you leave me open, I can hit it too.
Well, that remains
But
to
it's
be
interesting,
seen.
again, you were saying that he wanted him to develop that confidence, and it came back because his shooting had fallen off a little bit, and now it shows you stay with him, and he's not afraid to take the three, the big three against Coughlin, of course, which was vital.
And even if he doesn't, even if he doesn't shoot the ball, he's still our point guard. He's a tough defender, like I said, good rebounder, very unselfish player. And I'd like to see him take the ball to the basket a little bit more.
Okay, we have Chris Leib now, who's been playing extremely well as a freshman.
Chris coming off the
Good.
bench, helping out the point guard spot.
And there's a nice move by Chris going left, leaning and hitting it off the glass. He's done a nice job for us. Reaches in, and lucky enough to get the steal there, and makes a nice pass to Jeremy Gresh. A nice no-look pass.
Notice the left-hand layup also. Very nice.
Jeremy's played very well off the bench in spot roll. Here's Chris, which is also a very big three on an assist from Matt Tucker against Coughlin in the first half. And Chris is quick. He can play defense. Good backup for Nathan Mariano. Very good backup.
We've talked about this young man for the last couple of weeks. Been really impressed with him, Bobby Broyan. And again, it seems like every game that we see him play, his performance just gets better and better.
Yeah, Bobby's, as we stated, just an outstanding shooter. There he is. His arc is getting a lot better. As I said, he was shooting a little bit of a flat shot early in the year. And for a freshman, he's just, he'll knock it down for you. Great form. He's the guy you want to get the ball to. He and, I'd say, Michael Barletta, definitely are our best three. Michael hit a big shot for you. Bobby's real consistent. And because of Michael Barletta, Bobby's usually open, because Michael sometimes is double teamed, because he's multifaceted. He could take it to the hole, he could rebound, pass, shoot the ball.
We're going to mention Jonathan Veet, coach, and it's interesting, 3 of the first 4 guys we've talked about are underclassmen, freshmen, sophomores, but Jonathan Veet really plays like a big man.
Jonathan has a nice shot facing up. He's about 6'1". We'd like to see Jonathan grow, and if he does, look out, but he can shoot the ball. There's John on the boards with the long arms, keeps the ball alive, and knocks it back in. There's Michael on a nice left-handed baseline pass on a set play to John Veet. And John played very well up there in that game. He'd been struggling a little bit scoring after that a couple of games, but he's always tough on the boards. Works hard.
What has Michael Barletta not done for you this year? He's done, I bet, everything and more than what you've asked for.
Yeah, he's done everything. He's a team leader. Sometimes he gets a little bit overzealous on his defense, and he's done that too, but he'll make a big steal. Just when I'm ready to say something like Michael, don't reach in, he'll make a great steal. But there's a big shot by Michael in the mid-range area, about 15 feet, which is a really good range for him. But then he'll come back and knock down threes. He's a super player. He's probably our most consistent player. There's no question about it. And he's been our team leader, he and Matt Tucker.
Well, you speak of Matt, I think that the last several games, he's really established himself. He's become dominant inside, which I think has allowed a lot of other things to happen outside. But it seems though the last few times that we've met, you said, just be patient, because he has the ability to turn games around, and I think we've seen that.
Definitely a kid that's 6'7", runs the floor very well, can really shoot the ball. And this is what he's been doing much better, hitting the offensive boards. He works real hard. He's always running the floor, and has a very nice touch, as shown there. Picks up a loose ball, knocks it down. There's not a spot on the floor where he can't shoot from, really. There's off the dribble. Gets a nice roll. But I think the key is he's been, along with blocking shots, he's been really hitting both boards. And that has really helped us.
I was just going to say, that's the reason it's probably so tough to play defense against the Cougars, because of what Matt can do. He takes the short jumper, he can shoot the three. You allow him to take the three. Michael Barletta drives. Chris penetrates with Nate Mariano. Jonathan Vita off the boards, Brian with the three. It's extremely difficult. I'm trying to set up a defense where Connie mentioned earlier, okay, you have one or two stars, the go-to guys. You know, everybody says, well, you want a go-to guy. Well, we know you're going to him also. I mean, I've always laughed about that when they say, well, you want the defense going to be set up that way. So what do you do against the Cougars? You want to jam it down. We're going to take the three. You come out. It's going to open it up. And I really think right now they've been complementing each other beautifully.
Well, we're playing well right now. I mean, we haven't shot the ball, well all year. It's our shooting's been down a little bit from prior years, but we're starting to come together, playing better. There's a lot of things we don't have, but we seem to come through fine and overcompensate and so forth. We're not a real big team, but kids like Michael Barletta, like you said, he plays bigger than he is, a lot bigger. So. It's a fun team to coach, as I've stated. They're playing good defense, they're working hard, and we're starting to shoot the ball better.
I wanted to ask the one stretch in that the Pittston game, Coach, which must have been really interesting, because you're scoring, which means there's a great number of possessions, and yet 11 minutes Pittston went without scoring. And
well, we needed that, because in the second half, as Coach Fiore was saying that they didn't score in 11 minutes, Coach, and I don't really look at those things, but it was nice to hear. I know we were playing better defense. We needed to. I mean, they scored 28 points in the first half, 14 of those again by Wittick. So we packed our defense back in, and we wanted to extend it because I didn't think they really had the guards to bring the ball up, but Wittick was getting open. He was tougher than I thought he'd be.
Now, there is a little bit of a break for your team until the Coughlin game. Are you at all, what are your thoughts on not playing until next Tuesday at home against Coughlin?
I think it's a welcome rest, Connie. We played 5 games in 10 days, so that's every other day. That's NBA style, really, because we had the Crestwood game moved up because of the cancellation and so forth. So we were there 4 games in 7 days, 5 games in 10 days. We'll take a couple of days off. We'll go back at it and prepare for Coughlin. We could use the rest.
Mr. Franzosa loved that. You said we moved it up. I thought you moved it back because we delayed it a day, but I guess you're saying
we moved it up, and I'm correct, and so is he. Thank you.
Okay.
Let's. I did want to talk a little bit about the Coughlin game. And there's some great high school basketball rivalries in this area. Obviously, GAR Myers, very big rivalry. I'm from Dunmore. Dunmore-Scranton Prep is always a big rivalry if you're from Dunmore. This might be the best rivalry in high school basketball. Coughlin and Hazleton area, it just doesn't get any better than that.
For excitement, no doubt about it. But if you look at the one lost, I think we've dominated when you look at the statistic of winning and losing. But you're right. I don't think there have been. I'm going back for many, many years where 2 teams have played such consistently exciting basketball. Where at the end of the game, one play turns it. And fortunately for the Cougars and Coach Live, it's normally been the Cougars making that play. But you're right. They're always there.
Yep, they are. I know you want to chime in with a thought on that game. However, we do have to pay a few bills. We'll take this final break and talk more on the Coughlin game. And also, I promise, we'll talk about the District 2 playoffs more when we come back. Ready to wrap up this edition of Roundball Digest. Coach, you wanted to talk a little bit about the Crusaders.
I'll tell you what, John Quinn does an excellent job, and they're always well prepared. They have a very fine basketball team. Boylan is the premier point guard in the league. He's returning MVP, and it's going to be a great game. We've been fortunate. We've been lucky against them so many times, and we play hard. They play hard. It should be interesting. It'll be a good game, and hopefully we get to play them again if we beat them there.
I want to briefly talk to you a little bit, and I'm going to skip over the Wyoming Valley Conference playoffs, but District 2 playoffs are just in about a week and a half or so, and obviously you've got to be thinking about them. You're going to probably end up playing a team like Coughlin or Valley West from the Wyoming Valley Conference, maybe a Honesdale, a Scranton. We've talked a lot about the Wyoming Valley Conference teams. What about the Hornets? What about the Knights? What about the Comets?
Well, what I would like to see, hopefully, is if, it's solidified now, Coughlin, Valley West, and Hazelton will be in the district playoffs. I'd like to play somebody different. I mean, I don't care if it's Scranton,
Delaware Valley,
and I think John Quinn and Johnny Rossick would probably agree. you know, in the first round. But it usually doesn't work out that way, and it goes by record, and we'll see what happens. That Williamsport's in it, and that extra team's going to come from possibly Berwick, maybe Honesdale. Honesdale might have the edge on Berwick. Berwick's lost a few.
Berwick, with their loss on Tuesday, was eliminated. Berwick will not be in the
Didn't know that.
in the playoffs. Well,
Once
we
again,
do a
you're
little
on-
bit of research here on the
Yeah,
program.
very little, but once again, you're on top of some things. Very good.
Thank you
I didn't
very
know that, Connie, and that's probably the first thing you told me this year that was original, but good.
I think you set that up. That's very nice. You're being
Yeah.
humble, Mr. Live.
I actually have
So that
the
means
winning percentage of all the teams. Honesdale's in.
Honesdale is in. Okay,
Honesdale's
so
in. The 8 teams are in.
we're
the
set
ranking,
now with the 8. Okay,
yes,
good.
the rankings will occur. And of course, the other thing to keep in mind is you've got obviously the Wyoming Valley Conference playoffs, but Honesdale is also in the midst of the Lackawanna League Northern Division. Paul Pack won the first half, and Honesdale is trying to tie for the second half. So they still have some games to play.
Good.
And of course, with a win, you will at least tie. If you knock off Coughlin, you at least tie for the second half
Well,
title.
that I do know.
Yes.
But, you know, you being from Dunmore, I know you study a little bit more up there and you know those teams, so that's very good. We're trying to get you to know a little bit more about the teams down here in lower Luzerne County. But
I thought we weren't going to be insulting
okay,
during this program.
I'm sorry. If that was an insult, I apologize.
May I speak as a
Even though it was
Go right
factual.
May I speak
Go
as a fan
right
for a few
ahead.
seconds? I agree
A
with
factual insult.
what Mr. Live said, and seeing the same teams because they are so tough. Hazelton very tough, Coughlin very tough, and of course Wyoming Valley West. Am I correct? Could there be a scenario, Coach Live, and correct me if I'm wrong, where we could play, Hazelton area could play Coughlin and Wyoming Valley West 3 times before they enter the district playoffs?
Each team?
Yes.
Well, not each team.
Yes, okay, let's
One
say
or
that
the
you were,
other.
let's say you were to defeat Coughlin. If that were to happen, that's going to be a very, very tough
Yes, sir.
task. You would then have to play Wyoming Valley West for the playoff for the second half. That would be the 3rd time you'd play them. Let's say you
Oh,
won.
I'm sorry.
Then would have to
3
play
overall
Coughlin
times.
3
again.
overall.
Yeah, I'm saying that, isn't that
See,
something
we
that
could actually
go
play
into the
one of them
playoffs?
3 more times.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
No, no, no. I mean 3 additional times. We could actually play them 3 more times. Okay, but we can't play both 3 more times.
Listen, I don't mean to cut you off. I know this is an intriguing conversation. Guys, we have to go. Good luck Tuesday night, and Fran Lubinati, as always, it has been a pleasure. And of course, it's always a pleasure being with you as well. Thanks for joining us. For the entire crew, I'm Connie Costanzo. Talk to you next week here on Roundball Digest.
Shake.